Hi everyone, we're here to talk about Hour 18 text I, which comes at the very end of Oedipus at Colonus.
And this passage has about everything that you could ever want to hear about the institution of hero cults, where cult heroes are worshipped by their worshippers, about what the practice of worshiping heroes is telling us about how people think about the afterlife of heroes, what happens to them after they die, how all of this is a matter of finding out things that we need to know to better our lives, which is a nice way of thinking about initiation into the mysteries of cult heroes. Isn't such a mysterious thing. It's a process whereby you get to understand in a very precise and down-to-earth way what are the things you need to know about life after death and what you yourself personally can hope for. It's always more dramatic in a funny way when a messenger is telling a set of actions rather than two speakers referring to that action. I know that seems like a contradiction because after all, drama is the bringing to life of the speaking voice of one character interacting with another character, but in a curious way, when a messenger is telling about something that happens, the excitement, the dramatic excitement even extends to a higher level in the sense that the colorfulness and the excitement of the thing that is happening will not be actually visualized on stage. The visualization has to happen by way of the reportage of the messenger who saw what he saw. And what did he see? Well, he saw all sorts of mystical things. This passage shows in a very precise way how to visualize the last words and last deeds of Oedipus. You notice I say visualizing his words, and that's because what he's saying is meant to make us see what he sees with his inner vision, even though, of course, he is blind physically. Where he says that it's very important not to look upon these things and to hear these things, he's really talking about mystery. Mystery, etymologically, is a matter of not seeing things and not saying things at the wrong moment, but seeing and saying those same things at the right moment. And here, that is what the mystery is all about. And when it comes to what is being witnessed, the word that expresses it, you see right before line 1645, dran, things that are done, to do things. And this is, of course, the word that gives us the word drama, which comes from the Greek drama, meaning the thing that is done. And such a thing that is done is basically the core meaning of a mystery concerning cult heroes.
I'm thinking about how
Yes.
there are many actions described here, and just the possibilities for worshippers acting them out in a kind of passion play of Oedipus, so to speak.
That's a beautiful analogy. I
Yes,
think
you
that's
know,
exactly right.
The
Keith.
maidens being accompanied. I don't know if maidens would have actually participated, if girls would have been allowed
Yes.
to participate, but someone could represent those, someone could represent Theseus. I have this is all speculation, imagination on my part, but the way that these things get reenacted.
It comes close to sacred imagination, Keith. I like your instincts. I think they're zeroing in on the core mystery here. And of course, for Athenians, who would be the best character to officiate it would be Theseus, who is not only the founder of Athens from the standpoint of 5th century Athenian myth, but also the high priest of Athens. So for Theseus to be there, to be participating, to be the ultimate source of, well, what really did happen, is a wonderful way for Athenian civic identity to connect itself with the heroic identity of Oedipus. And if we can go further in this amazing passage, this extravaganza of details concerning hero cult, I like the way when it comes to ritual acts performed by Oedipus. One of them is, you see it in 1653 and 1654, that he adores, he worships Mother Earth. That's looking downward, but then looking upward, 1655 and following, Olympus. So it's a perspective that looks both down and up. And then my favorite part, 1656, when it comes to visualizing, well, how did he die? How did he meet his end? There are several scenarios that are considered here. Some are rejected, some are accepted. So let's see what the first one is. It was not the god's fiery thunderbolt. Well, a fiery thunderbolt is what Heracles experiences when he's vaporized at the peak of his suffering. In the account that we already saw in the very first hour of the 24 hours. So it's not that. He's not vaporized by a thunderbolt. And he is not spirited away by a gust of wind that comes from the sea. So that's a second scenario that is rejected, 1660 and following. And then the other possibilities, well, the way it's handled, it's not clear which one we should choose, but one of them is that an escort sent by the gods, 1661, that would be Hermes, would take him wherever he is to be taken. And then the one I like the best is that the netherworld, in other words, what's underneath the earth, which has good intentions. Here the word is noos, but even the word Eumenides, Eumenides, conveys the idea of spirits that have good intentions and that dwell beneath the earth. And how does it continue? That gaping, unlit foundation of the earth, that somehow this Mother Earth, with good intentions, engulfed him, enveloped him. And in the end, this is the scenario of the various scenarios that are mentioned here in passing that most fits Oedipus, except maybe for one other, a very simple scenario, but maybe the most mystical of them all, which is Nostos, simply coming back home. Very few heroes get to be immortalized just by coming back home. Memnon, that hero who fought Achilles, is one of them, but Oedipus is another. And for that matter, we can understand that best if we think about whose hometown Colonus was, and surprise, it's Sophocles. So in a curious way, the projection of Sophocles into his character, Oedipus, helps us understand that ultimately most mystical of all scenarios for immortalization after death, and that is coming back home to a loving Mother Earth.